Good morning. This is Robert Goodman here on Positive Strokes, staying clean, and I'm so blessed to be a part of your recovery. And today we're going to talk about we make direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Now, when I made this step, it wasn't a nice form of action. I thought I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to face these people. I didn't want to own up to it. I wanted to own up to it, but I sure didn't want to face them because I surely didn't know how they're going to react. And the first one I made amends to, he told me, I said I wanted to make amends. And he said, man, if you don't get the hell away from me, I'm going to put a bullet in your head. And I believed him, trust and believe me, because he was definitely capable of doing something like that. But what I said was, after that, I said, would you please just listen to what I have to say? That's all I ask, is for you to listen to what I have to say. I'm in recovery, and this is a part of my recovery. So would you please give me a few minutes of your time so I can share this information with you? The first thing I said was, well, I owe you $1,500, but I have $500 right here, and I'm giving it to you. And would you please accept this as one of the payments that I'm going to be able to make with you? It's going to take time for me to give you the rest of the money. And right then and there, they was willing to listen to what I had to say. I shared the pain that addiction has done to me and how I destroyed my life and the life and the relationship I had with him. And that I had no control over the situation because I was addicted to cocaine. And that was the simple truth. But when I shared all that led up to why I did what I did with him about getting his money, taking his money, he said something to me that caught my attention. He said, you took a great chance coming to me. You took a big chance. Because all I wanted to do was put a bullet in your head. He says, but it takes a real man to own up to his mistakes and make good on them. And for the first time, he made me feel like a man. All up to this point, I felt like I was just a regular person. I'm an addict and I'm overcoming addiction and I'm the scum of the earth and I don't feel good about myself. But his statement made me feel good about myself. So I made this payment plan. Time went on. I kept going to people that I've harmed, that it wouldn't cause them injury or others. And the ones that would, I didn't make amends to them because I know it would hurt them deeply, destroy them in many ways. So what I did was I would write it down on a piece of paper, which I had my sponsor with a working knowledge of the program of recovery that has some years, that have been over the steps numerous times. And I read it to him. We set it on fire. We prayed. We gave it to God, which is a power greater than myself, which I choose is to my higher power, God. And I let it go. But the interesting thing about addiction is that the things that happen in my addiction, they don't go away. I just learned how to live with what I've done. I had to learn to live with the mistakes I've done in my active addiction to others. I had to deal with the pain, the emotional and mental pain that my addiction caused me to have by the choices I've made. And as I have years of recovery, I still get emotional on situations that happen in my active addiction that hurts. But I don't pick up and use over it. I just get a flashback of realizing just how much damage addiction has done to my life. I know just how much I've lost through my addiction that I cannot get back. I understand that my addiction caused me to lose people that I love, that I will not get back. Recovery taught me just how much damage I've done to myself and others, especially to myself. That I have to live with the mistakes I made in active addiction. To let it go and give it to a power greater than me to restore me to sanity so I can live a life on life's terms, clean and sober. But it doesn't take away the pain that addiction has caused me. It just teaches me how to live with the pain and not pick up over the pain. Yes. After I cleaned the wreckage of my past, after I approached the people I could approach and make amends to these people, I didn't feel good about myself. But the power of recovery, being with like-minded people in recovery, doing the same thing that I'm doing, gave me the strength and the power to continue my journey in recovery, doing the next right thing. Because when I looked at myself and the things I'd done in my active addiction and make amends to these people, and I seen the hurt and the pain that I caused these people, and with a clear head and a clear mind, I didn't like Robert. I started to hate Robert. But the people in recovery taught me how to love myself when I could not love myself because of what I've done to myself and others. So when you go on the journey of making amends, understand you may get a negative or you may get a positive reaction. And if it's going to hurt, you're going to destroy a person's life by being honest, then I suggest that you get with your sponsor, a person that has a working knowledge of the program of recovery, that's been over the steps numerous times, that has some time in the program, substantial time, that built a good life for themselves, that knows the ups and downs in recovery and living your best life. And share that with them, set it on fire, pray, and give it to a power greater than you, which is your higher power, and let it go. You've made your amends without hurting someone by making amends. When I got past step 9, when I literally got past it, I was in a heavy funk because I realized just how evil, mean, vengeful, hurtful Robert was. I got to understand my actions in my act of addiction and the things that I've done. And I started to hate myself. I didn't like myself. This is when the program of recovery, people like me in the program, love me until I could love myself. Because I was dealing with the pain and the emotions of what I've done to myself and others. Them hugs meant the world to me. Women in recovery talking and pointing out my good points built my self-esteem that was totally lost when I did step 9. When guys in the program of in recovery treated me like we were brothers, made me feel good about myself. Women pointing out the good points about me made me feel good about myself. And those that were working the program of recovery as counselors, guiding me and directing me in my recovery, let me know just how far I came in my recovery, and I was on the right path. Once I got over this hump, this was an important hump. I had to get over this. I started to have pride about myself. I started to have pride about my recovery. I started to stand tall in my recovery. My life got better because I constantly worked on myself, because I seen just how bad off addiction has done me and destroyed my life. And it's going to take time for me to build a sound, solid recovery. So the point for today is that when you go and you face people you've harmed, through your addiction and you're making amends to them, understand they have the right to feel the way they choose to. They have the right to accept, reject. But the most important thing is that you made the effort to own up to your own mistake that you made with that person, that you are making amends to what you've done. And you should feel good about yourself because you don't have to carry this situation anymore because you've owned up to it. You approach the person, they choose to accept or reject, and you let it go and you move forward because now it doesn't have to live rent-free in your head. You don't have to duck and dodge because you've done that to that person. You've owned up to your mistakes. You've cleaned the wreckage of your past so you don't have to look over your shoulders anymore. And that's the blessing of recovery. When I tackled this step and moved forward in my recovery, men and women in recovery embraced me, loved me until I could love myself. I thought I was worthless. But women in recovery told me that I was a good catch. The men in recovery told me, Robert, you are an example to others. You've helped me by sharing your strength and your hopes with us. These people in recovery made me feel good about myself, made me feel like I was a part of, that there were people that actually liked and cared about Robert, that we became friends. And when I left the program, it felt like I left a part of me there. And as time went on, a couple of them I see on Facebook, Instagram, I send messages. Some are involved in my recovery, me sharing my videos. But the interesting point is that a lot of them are not doing good. There are some that are doing great, but a lot are not doing good. And it hurts to see people that I care about fall victim to addiction. But the program of recovery taught me that recovery is like a revolving door. They come in, they go out, they give up, they die. They say that in recovery you buy 2 suits, one for funerals and one for marriages, to get married. He said, but you'll go to more funerals than you go to weddings. We could change that by sharing the message of recovery to others. We could change that by helping those that are still suffering. We could change that by walking close with them in their walk in recovery. We could change that. Together we can. That is my famous motto. You see me post that on Facebook. You see me do that on TikTok. Together we can overcome the power of addiction. Not to be ashamed of what we've done to ourselves and others, but to stand tall in recovery so we can live our best lives. We can be an example to others so they want recovery. Only way we can get other people to want recovery is we have to share our recovery to others publicly and openly, because that's what works. I'm as sick as my secrets. I have no secrets. So I'm not sick anymore. This is Robert Goodman from Positive Stroke, wishing you a great day. And remember, recovery saved my life. Recovery can save yours if you do the work on yourself. You have a great day.